The world is full of people waiting for a handout. They're waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect mentor, the perfect alignment of stars. But there's a cold, hard truth that separates the kings from the commoners and the leaders from the lost. Nothing is free. Look around you. Most people are living in a prison they didn't even build. They call it reality. They call it fate. But the truth, it's just a lack of will. Tonight, we aren't just telling a story. We are dissecting the anatomy of a legend. This is the story of Leo, a boy who had every reason to fail, but chose to become a giant. In a small town where the mountains felt like iron bars, Leo lived in the shadow of defeat. His father, Mark, was a mechanic whose skin had absorbed the oil of 1,000 broken engines. Every night, Leo watched his father sit at the kitchen table, staring at nothing, his hands trembling from exhaustion. His mother, Claire, was a ghost in other people's houses, cleaning the dirt of the wealthy just to buy a gallon of milk. The worst part wasn't the hunger. It was the silence of a family that had stopped dreaming. But Leo was different. He had a 10-year-old sister, Sophie, who still believed in magic, and every time he looked into her eyes, he felt a stabbing pain in his heart. He realized that if he didn't move, if he didn't fight, Sophie would end up just like their mother, fading away in someone else's hallway. Leo didn't have a plan. He had a hunger. He realized that in his town, people had to travel miles for bread, a simple necessity, a gap in the market. But Leo had $0, zero experience. He walked to the bakery of Mr. Anderson, a man who looked like he was carved out of granite. Leo stood there, shivering in his thin jacket, and said, "I want to sell your bread. I don't have money to buy it, but I have the strength to carry it further than anyone else." Mr. Anderson laughed, a cold, dry sound. "Why should I trust a boy with holes in his shoes?" Leo didn't flinch. He looked at the old man and said, "Because I have nothing else to lose, and a man with nothing to lose is the most dangerous man in the room." The deal was struck. But this wasn't a movie montage. It was hell. For the first month, Leo woke up at 3 a.m. The air was so cold it felt like needles in his lungs. He carried 40 pounds of bread on his back, walking 5 miles before the sun even thought about rising. His feet bled, his back arched, but every time he felt like quitting, he pictured Sophie's face. Nothing is free. 2 years passed. Leo wasn't just a delivery boy anymore. He was a businessman. He had a cart. He had savings, but he was still a middleman. He knew that the real power, the real freedom, was in the creation. He asked Mr. Anderson to teach him to bake. The old man agreed, but the price was high. Leo had to work his normal shift and then stay another 6 hours to learn the heat of the oven. He was sleeping 2 hours a day. Have you ever been so tired that your eyes burn? Have you ever been so exhausted that you forget your own name? Leo lived in that state for a year. He burned his forearms. He ruined 1,000 batches of dough. He felt like a failure 1,000,000 times. But this is what the world won't tell you. Mastery is born in the trash can. Every ruined loaf was a lesson. Every burn was a badge of honor. Soon, Leo wasn't just baking bread, he was baking soul. People started noticing. Leo's bread is different, they said. It tasted like triumph. Just when the sun starts to shine, the storm clouds gather. One night, a spark, a faulty wire. By the time Leo reached the shop, the flames were 30 feet high. everything. The custom oven, the flour, the ledgers, the photos of his family on the wall. Ash. He tried to run inside. The fireman held him back. He screamed until his throat was raw. The next morning, he stood in front of the blackened skeleton of his dream. The townspeople gathered. Some felt pity. Some, secretly, felt relief. They wanted to see him fail because his success made them feel lazy. "Give it up, Leo," they whispered. "Go back to being a mechanic like your father." That is the most dangerous moment in a man's life, when the world gives you permission to quit. Leo sat in the ashes for 3 days. He didn't eat, he didn't speak. On the 4th day, he saw Sophie looking at the burnt shop. She wasn't crying, she was waiting for her hero to stand up. Leo stood up. He didn't have a shop, he used his mother's kitchen. He didn't have an industrial oven, he baked 1 loaf at a time. He went to the market with his face still covered in soot. He told his customers, "The building is gone, but the fire is still here. Who wants bread?" 1 person bought, then 10, then 100. The community saw his defiance, and they rallied. They didn't help him because they felt sorry for him. They helped him because they were inspired by him. Within 6 months, he didn't just rebuild, he expanded. He bought out the bakery of the man who tried to compete with him. He became the king of the valley. Today, Leo stands on the balcony of his own restaurant chain. He looks at those same mountains, but they don't look like prison bars anymore. They look like milestones. His father owns the best garage in the state. His mother hasn't touched a mop in 10 years. And Sophie is at the best university in the country. Listen to me very carefully. Success is not a gift. It is a debt that you pay every single morning. If you want the life of your dreams, you have to be willing to walk through the fire. You have to be willing to lose everything to find out who you really are. The world is full of people waiting for a handout. Don't be one of them. Be the person who earns the stars. Nothing is free, but everything is possible.